So AWS Global Infrastructure. So this is session 2. Let's start. So these are the objectives of this session, what we are going to study, and we will go over each of this in detail as we go along. We will start with what is the state of AWS Global Infrastructure, where are its regions, what it is a region, what is availability zone, what is a data center, how to choose the AWS region, what are the different security features that are out there, a brief introduction to AWS resources, what are major type of resources are there, and then we are going to group those resources, and then we'll have a small look at AWS Marketplace. So this is more of a general introduction, and we will go over these topics in detail, right? So what is the AWS region? AWS region is a physical location. Let me give you an example. US is a huge continent, right? North America is a huge continent, and there are so many places that users are there, right? So you want to have your data center as close to your users as possible, right? So the closer the computer is to me, the faster I'm going to get the downloads and the uploads, right? Say you are streaming Netflix. So by the way, Netflix streams off AWS only. Now, say I am a Netflix user and say I am in maybe Connecticut, right? And my data center is all the way there in China, or maybe it's in remote parts of Europe. So my data has to travel around half a world to reach to me, right? The farther the data has to go, there will be higher latency, because the farther a thing has to travel, it will take more time. Yeah, you have to have a huge amount of capacity going there, and these are separated by huge oceans. So you either have to have a very strong satellite network or very good cables in the ocean to get your data there, and it's expensive stuff, right? So AWS has provided you around 22 regions, 22 separate places where you can have your data centers around the world. So if I quickly go here and see the map where it is, if I go there, here I am on the global infrastructure. This is AWS site, aws.amazon.com. And you see, they have these blue dots. These are the actual AWS regions. So what they have done, they have scattered their data centers all over the world. So no matter where your customers are, maybe you are a company based out of just one continent, just one country, or maybe you have a global business, like say GE has a global business, Netflix has a global business. So it doesn't matter where the users are, you will find a AWS region fairly close to you, and you can serve the data off there. So when you are designing an AWS solution, when we are deciding, okay, where should I put my capacity, you can leverage any one of these locations, and you can be really close to your users, because the closer you are to your users, there is a lower latency, you can deliver better experience, and they can have great experience while they are consuming your services. And you as a company get the flexibility of not keeping your data at one place. So let me give you an example. So there is this data center in India, Mumbai. So let's say, God forbid, there is some natural disaster and there is a power outage in Mumbai, right? Maybe there is a power outage in Sydney. Now, say you are in only one place, and you have your data all scattered only in Sydney or only in Mumbai, right? So unless and until the power is restored, maybe due to some natural calamity, you won't be able to get to that data. So your users will experience a downtime. Now imagine this. Maybe you are a news agency. So in the time of a power outage, in the time of a calamity, your users need you all that more, because they are going to want to have latest news. And if you are also affected in that, you cannot deliver news to them. But with AWS, you can scatter your user data maybe in Mumbai, some in US, say US Gov Cloud, in US East, you can have some in China, you can have some in London. So unless and until there is a catastrophe along the whole earth, you are pretty much covered. So you can have your services online, you can have your services always working, because even if one region is affected, your users are not going to affect. Imagine doing this when you have your own data centers. Imagine going around the world, buying properties on each and every continent, and setting up your own data centers, right? You need to do onshore hiring, you need to do a lot of hiring in these different places, you need to do big buildings, you need to put a lot of server power in there, You need to have coordination between all these teams. So now, whether you are sitting on the East Coast or the West Coast, you can deliver your services to whole of the world, just sitting right in your office without having to actually go to India or maybe Australia or maybe China or maybe Europe, right? Because at a click of a button, AWS has provided you the power to have your compute resources at the 23 global locations that are separated by each other on different continents, powered by very high speed internet, redundant, and so on. Now, these are the regions, right? So these blue dots are the regions. Orange ones are the ones that are coming soon. So AWS is continuously expanding its capacity. It's not like, okay, we are done. No, they're expanding. They're putting more data centers in, right? So in Mumbai, as you can see, there are 3 availability zones. So availability zone is a physical data center. A region is where all the data centers are. Availability zone is the actual data center is there. So even if Mumbai is a region, they have built 3 separate data centers in Mumbai, separated by at least 100 kilometers, to provide the redundancy within the region as well. So it's not like, okay, one data center is gone and your region is gone. No, you have 3 data centers there. If you look at Sydney in Australia as well, there are 3 data centers there, 3 availability zones. Say you go here in Canada, there are 2 availability zones, each separated more than 100 kilometers apart. So say you go to Ohio, there are 3 data centers, each separated minimum 100 kilometers apart. So even if there is a small power outage in one area, you have 2 other data centers that are up in that region as well. So you get a global redundancy by having multiple regions around the world, but you also get a local redundancy by having multiple data centers within that region as well. So look at this US East GovCloud. Look at Virginia. There are 6 availability zones there. You get 6 different data center in one region or separated by more than 100 kilometers. So if you go here, California has 3, right? Oregon has 4 availability zone and 1 local zone, right? And then you go here, GovCloud. This is GovCloud. So only the government websites run on AWS GovCloud. So imagine the scale of AWS. They have even provisioned separate regions for only US government's workloads. So US government is a huge customer of AWS. So huge that they have built 6 different data centers, 3 in US West, 3 in US East. So they have provided 6 dedicated data centers for US government to host US government's workloads. So be it Department of Defense, be it NSA, be it your public companies, your healthcare, all are customers of AWS. So when you are going out there, okay, you want to select a provider for your workloads, you want to go with the best. And government doesn't rely on anything that is short of best. So it's not like, okay, they came into existence now. They've been in existence for more than 8-10 years now. So for last 10-15 years, AWS is the leader, and it will continue to be the leader because it has such huge capacity, huge presence around the world, and each of these regions has a minimum of 2 or 3 availability zones, with more coming up. They are building, continuously expanding that capacity, so you have a global infrastructure that you can really depend on. So as I said, AWS region is the physical location where your AWS data centers are located. So there are around 23 regions at this moment that are active, and then availability zone is a single data center in that region. So there are a minimum of 2 or 3 individual data centers in each region. So if you look at here, if you want to read the slide, they have a huge capacity, 25 terabits per second bandwidth going between each of them. So they have huge optic fiber cables running between these data centers. So you get really good connectivity. They are multiple kilometers apart, and the latency is very less, 2 milliseconds or 1 millisecond. So you get a truly redundant infrastructure that you can really rely on. So AWS region is the global space where AWS is located. These blue dots are the regions, and then you have availability zones. Availability zones are the individual data centers that are there in this region, right? So say Bahrain has a region, and there are 3 availability zones that are separated at least 150 kilometers apart, 3 individual data centers connected by a very high speed internet. redundant power, minimum 3 different sources of power with backup generators and everything. So even if your region is going down, even if your one data center is down, you are really up, you are really serving your customers, and you can really rely on this infrastructure, right? Because if you are down while serving your customers, you are losing business. And if you choose AWS as your partner, you are going to be pretty much covered in that area. So I talked about AWS data center. So AWS data center, a single data center typically have 50,000 to 80,000 servers. Now imagine the scale of it. So you have 80,000 huge servers. A single server can probably run your small business, small to medium enterprise, and you have 80,000 of those in single data center. And each region has how many availability zones? 3, 2, 3, maybe 6. Like in the case of Virginia, we saw there are 6. So in Virginia, they have the biggest presence in Virginia. They have almost 100,000 physical servers in one data centers. So that gives us 600,000, more than 500,000 servers in one location. Now imagine you are going there, right? You're a small enterprise. You are going to probably need at the start maybe 10, 20, 15 servers, right? They have 600,000 of them ready for you, waiting for you to run your workload, right? Amazon has the scale. They're a huge company. They have the scale. They can work on it. So a single or a couple of data centers are clubbed into one easy, and it is really hard to get how many data center of Amazon operates, because Amazon is so huge. You cannot really put numbers on Amazon. So they do almost $1 billion in quarterly revenue in just small consulting. So if you look at their AWS revenue, it's more than $60 billion. So when you want to earn $60 billion off of a product, they are really invested in it. So every year they're spending billions of dollars expanding this capacity, maintaining this capacity, hiring the best of the talent, hiring people who can really run these servers and give you that flexibility that cloud provides. Now, the story doesn't end at regions and AGs only. Then they have AWS edge locations as well. So, okay, you have a region, you have multiple availabilities. Great. What if you want to be even closer to your users, right? So right now you have around 24 regions. Each on an average, we say they have 3 availability zones. So total comes out to be 72 data centers almost, right? But these sometimes you want to deliver content even faster. Say you are Netflix. Whenever you want to click on a title on Netflix, you want that to load instantly on your user's phone. Say you want to host an online gaming. For gaming, you need a very low latency, else your players will die, right? So then you have the flexibility of using CDN at AWS edge locations. So edge location is just a mini version of a data center. It's not a full-scale data center with 50,000 or 80,000 servers or maybe 100,000 servers. It has around maybe 4,000, 5,000. So they got that mini, still they have 4,000, 5,000 servers. 5,000 server is still more than really big enterprise that are out there. So I remember one of the clients that I worked initially, so they were just beginning their journey into the cloud, and they had 2 data centers. They were based off New Jersey. So they are a huge company in New Jersey. They provide insurance to maybe 70% of the people there. And what they were doing was they had 2 data centers, each separated by around 20, 30 kilometers. So they had a difference about 30 miles between each of these data centers. And there was a huge snowstorm, and that knocked both the data centers out. Now imagine you are going to the hospital in snowstorm, people get injured, and you're not able to get to your insurance provider. It's a very dire scenario. Imagine getting stuck with your claims not getting processed. You have nowhere to go because there is a snowstorm, and your company being local, they don't have a global presence, and you're not able to get. So then they reached out to us, and we initiated their journey to cloud. So in each of their data centers, they were operating around 1,000 servers. So total 2,000, 2,500 servers. When they moved to cloud, they instantly scattered their resources across whole of the US, right? So now, even if there are issues on the East Coast, they have capacity running on the West Coast. Even if both coasts are affected, they have central US catering to the capacity, right? So you get the power of scale. You are distributed across a whole continent, and you are really able to utilize that capacity whenever you need. And to shift data from one place to another, it's just a few clicks away. Imagine shifting data between 2 data centers that are just 30 miles away, and you have to like ship them ship the data in carts and your trucks and everything. It's going to take time. What if both data centers are out? You can't serve your customers, right? Your customers are stuck. But yes, if you have AWS as your partner, they chose AWS as a partner, and since then they never have even had an outage because of a data center going out, because of a server going down, because it really gives you the capacity, right? So what is the AWS edge location? Back to it. So edge location is like a smaller data center. So what they have done, if I quickly pull up the page for AWS edge locations, so whenever you are in doubt about AWS, just Google it. There is huge amount of material that is out there, and you would be able to get it really fast because AWS is such a mature product. A simple Google search will get you there, right? So if I go to the AWS edge locations, and it will take me to the Amazon link as well. Look at these. This one has both edge locations, multiple edge locations, and regional edge caches. So look at these circles that are there. So in regions, we had around 23, 24 regions. For my CloudFront points, my edge locations, I have more than 100. So I'm covering 50 cities in 23 countries, right? And it is ever expanding. It's not like they are, okay, we have built like 100, so we are done. No. Even these slides won't be able to match the speed they are going in. In a single day, maybe they'll be adding 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 more edge locations, right? So these are the locations that are currently there. So this is article 98, 9900. So just like a ticker, and this is a 2017 report from the AWS official website. They have grown way past that number right now, right? So if I go here and if I look at this, look at it. See, wherever your users are, you can really get to them very fast. Maybe they're in Europe, maybe they're in Australia, maybe they are in Africa, maybe they are in South America, maybe they're in North America. You can deliver your infrastructure there with the power of AWS. So edge location is kind of a mini data center, and because it's a smaller, they can build it a lot faster. Whenever they see, okay, this region, this particular location in a country is not able to get to us really fast, no worries, we'll put a small data center there of 5,000 servers, and we will figure out how many regions more we have to build, because regions and bigger data centers take time to build. There are huge infrastructures. 5,000 servers, they can just rent out a building and put a CDN there, put a edge location, right? So this is the slide that I showed you earlier, and these slides were built about a couple of months ago. And you can see in Mumbai, they have already built one more data center, because I show you they have 3 availability zones, right? So US is pretty much there, updated, but yes, rest of the world, they are really adding things very fast. At that time, in 2 months ago, there was no Middle East region. They have that region now, right? So they keep adding. You cannot keep updating your slides fast enough for AWS. AWS is really fast. You have to put a lot of effort to catch them up, right? And this is the features that come with all this infrastructure. So you have high availability through multiple availability zones in each region. Each region has minimum of a 2, maximum of a 6, and on an average 3 availability zones. So you get 3 data centers in a single region, which really gives you high availability. Even if one of the data center goes down in a region, your region is not offline. You have 2 more data centers there. And even if your region is down, you have 24 other regions, 23 other regions to take care of your workloads, right? So meeting compliance and data resiliency requirements. So Europe has compliance issue, where if a citizen is from Europe, from certain countries, his data should be hosted in that country. US has that for PII data. So if it's a personal information, personally identifiable information, it's a HIPAA data about your health and your insurance and everything, it should be stored on US soil only for a US citizen. So say you are a global company, right? And you are providing insurance all over the world, right? So you want your Europe's patients data to be in Europe only. You want your US data in US only. You want your Middle Eastern data in Middle East only, right? You can have that with AWS, because AWS has a true global presence, and you can utilize their different regions to put the data right local to that country's government, where you are compliant, where you are easily able to pass the audits and everything. Okay, so say today you are in US, tomorrow you want to expand to Europe. Third day, you want to expand to China. Fourth day, you want to expand to Africa. Fifth day, you want to expand to South America. You can. You don't have to make plans for, say, 5 years in advance and go out, send your executives out there to scout the places to build your own data centers, purchase huge amounts of land, build the buildings there, purchase servers, hire staff there. No, you don't have to do that now. Because even when you are sitting in US, even when you are sitting anywhere in the world, you can manage infrastructure all over the world. And the infrastructure is there with AWS. And there is improved continuity with replication between regions. So even if one of your region is going down, imagine a whole region, 3 data center go down. It rarely happens, but yeah, it can happen. There is a natural calamity. There is a power outage, anything. You have replication between other regions. So even if Sydney region is down, you can deliver to your customers from Singapore, maybe from Japan, maybe from Hong Kong. So you get high availability, you have continuity, you have no data loss, and you are able to serve your customers better, right? So how to choose a AWS region? Now, we know there are around 24 regions, right? So as a AWS solution architect, when company comes to you, okay, I want my data out there, I want to move to cloud, but which cloud? So answer is AWS. Okay, where in AWS, right? So if you look at AWS, I showed you there are around 24 regions, right? Where you want to put your data. So two basic things that will influence this decision. First, you want to be closer to your users, right? So the closer you are to your user, faster the data can travel to them, and they experience lower latency, and that leads to a better user experience. Number one. Number two, do you have a compliance issue, right? You want to satisfy laws of a country where you are doing business in, right? So say you are maybe a European country and you are in business of healthcare and you want to serve US customers. Now US law dictates that the customer data from US patients or US customers should be in US only. No worries. We will spin up our infrastructure in one of the AWS regions that is located on the US soil, and you're good to go. So the main decision is where you can serve your clients better, where you can serve your clients really quickly. And the second decision is where can you get the compliance and everything. Okay, so choosing between based on latency, global warming, cost, and compliance. Now let's go to the cost. Though AWS is a global infrastructure, but there are slight differences in how you are charged for each of these resources, right? So say you want to rent 100 servers, right? So, okay, I want to rent 100 servers. If you select it somewhere that has cheaper labor, cheaper power, cheaper server cost, cheaper engineers that are maintaining those, definitely your server cost will be cheaper, right? If AWS is very mature in that region, I'll give you an example. So AWS is most mature in Virginia because they have 6 data centers there. They have huge amount of capacity there. If you ask AWS for a server in Virginia, you can really select when you're spinning up the servers. Okay, you want computer in Virginia, it will be cheaper by a few cents than spinning up in a remote country or in a remote location like Hong Kong. Okay, so in Hong Kong, they have to jump through a lot of hoops to build regions there. Okay, so the internet connectivity is a bit expensive. The real estate is very expensive in Hong Kong. So they have to put a lot of more capital in getting regions up there, getting data centers up there. So you probably have to pay a couple of cents more to get a server there than in Virginia, right? So, okay, cost might not be a factor for a huge organization, but yeah, if you're a smaller business, you really have to think about the cost. Okay, how much cost I can bear, how much is going to cost. So you have to have those estimates really with you. Then there is global warming issue. You want to be as green as possible, right? So to take that into account, you want your servers to be in a region that is naturally cold, right? So to cool a server, like a small laptop, you have 2 fans, right? Now imagine cooling 100,000 servers. Okay, you need to have huge chillers and everything. they throw away a lot of heat, right? So if your data center is in a naturally colder region, right, you need to run less of those chillers and you are more green. You're not doing that much emissions and everything. So say your organization has a target of going carbon neutral, right? You don't want a huge amount of emissions going out because of you. Yeah, you can select a region, maybe in Canada, at a someplace cold, and you can be compliant to your global warming issues, right? And latency is obviously the number one choice, because you want to be really close to your users so that they can really leverage the infrastructure really faster. You can deliver a better service, right? So say if a Netflix video takes 20 minutes to buffer and it's a half an hour video, your experience is spoiled. But if a same video loads in half a second or maybe a second or maybe under a minute, your experience is great. Customers will come back to Netflix, right? But if it's really slow, why YouTube works so well? Because it's very fast. Wherever you are using it, it's really fast, right? So you can really reach your customers really faster if you are closer to them. Now comes the question of security. Okay, so you have AWS, right? And you want your data to be secure. What if, because you want it to be safeguarded against hacking, what if you put your data out there and it's just hacked, right? That is not a good thing, because you will get sued if you just lose customers' data to hackers. So you have to have your data very secured. So what AWS does, AWS enables a shared security model. Now, how that a shared security model works? Number one, what they will do, they will protect the data centers from the intruders. So you don't have to worry about someone just going inside their data center, plugging their hard drive into the computer and just downloading their data. No, they're heavily guarded. They have fences and everything, guards and good access control around the data centers. Even if Amazon employee wants to get into a data center, they cannot unless and until they have a work there. They have prior authorizations from the concerned authorities at AWS, right? So your data is physically secured. Nobody can walk onto a computer that is running your workload and just download your data. Okay, physical security is there. What about the cyber security of your data? So here things get a bit tricky. How they get tricky? So say you have a server, right? And you have put the data in your server. Now keep storing the password to that server, because you are the one who is setting the password, right? You have to have a strong password. You are not to share that password with anyone. Similar to your email account, right? So if you give your password of your email account out there, anybody can log in, right? If you give your credit card number out there, anybody can do purchases of your credit card, right? So similar is the case with AWS. If you want your data to be secured, select good passwords, tough passwords, and don't share them with anybody. So physically, they are storing your data, they're securing your data. But cyberly, in terms of IT perspective, you have to have the controls there. You have to put rules and you have to put strong passwords there so that your data is protected from the cyber attacks, right? So network intrusion is taken care of by AWS. But yes, if your server is out there and if you do a weak password on it, it will get hacked, right? Because there are a lot of hackers, a lot of malicious people around. It's similar to securing your own PC. If your PC's password is really easy to guess, anybody can log in, right? So you get access to hundreds of tools and features to help you meet your security objective. It's not like it's all your responsibility. AWS provides you tools and everything. We will explore those tools as we go along, and you can really secure your infrastructure, right? So you can have full control over your network security, your configuration, your access control, who has access to what resources. So maybe you are in an organization and there are three departments, right? One is a finance department, one is a marketing department, one is a developing department. So you don't want financial data to be handled by marketing or development people. You can have that. You can create financial users and they will have access to only finance servers. You can create development user and they'll have access to only development servers. You can create marketing people's accounts and they'll have access to only marketing resources. So you can really put access control out there. AWS provides you tool, but it's your responsibility. Why it's your responsibility? Because AWS doesn't know your organizational structure. Maybe you are a single person. You need access to each and everything. Maybe you are a company with more than 10,000 employees spread across different departments. Everybody needs access, but everybody needs to have a limited access. AWS doesn't know as a customer what are your actual requirements are. So they provide you tools to accomplish all this. So benefits of AWS security. AWS puts strong safeguards to protect your privacy. All data is stored in highly secure AWS data centers, right? You meet compliance requirements. Why? Because AWS gets their infrastructure audited for HIPAA and everything every year whenever it's required. They are PCI certified, they are DSS certified, they are HIPAA certified, they are PII certified, they are GDPR certified, that is new law originated from Europe. You save money because the higher standard of security come to you as a part of AWS, and you can scale quickly because no matter where you are, no matter what's the size of infrastructure, AWS has it for you and your data is safe. It doesn't matter if you're running 100 server, one server, or 10,000 servers on AWS, you get same security standards as a huge government organization, as a huge multinational will get. Even a small or a medium enterprise gets same security standards. You have same controls. AWS put really power in your hands in terms of security. What about compliance? So these are all the certifications that are required to run a business. There is SOC, there is FIMSA, DICAP, PCI DSS, FedRAMP, HIPAA, PII. So AWS gets its infrastructure audited every year by certified auditors and gets these certifications for you. How's that good for you? If you want to do that to your own data center, you have to pay auditors huge amount of money, right? But in AWS, because they're running each and every kind of workload, they ensure they are certified to each and every certification that is out there. It's not like pick and choose. They go out there and they say, okay, we are going to meet each and every certification, no matter how hard it is to achieve. So even if you are a small business retailer running just a flower shop, you have the same standard of audit and compliance as a big multinational like GE or Netflix, right? So whatever compliance power a Netflix or GE has when they are running in AWS, a small person running only a single server also has that same power, same features. So you can be really assured that AWS is robust in terms of data protection, in terms of privacy, in terms of compliance. So say you get audited by one of the companies, right? You get audited by the government. You can say, okay, I'm running in AWS. You have given the certification to AWS. I am certified as well because AWS has provided me that certification. So now we are going to step into AWS resources. What are the different AWS? So we have talked, okay, AWS does this, AWS does that. But at the end of the day, there are different products that you can use to accomplish your task. Those tasks are categorized under AWS resources. So the first service that AWS came up with, and it is the most popular one, is called Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud. It's called EC2. So whenever you go into an interview or as a part of regular job, this will be the service that you will be most interacting with, right? It is the first service that AWS came up with. So what it does, it gives you on-demand compute power. With 5 or 6 clips, you have a server running in anywhere in the world within 6 clips, and you can scale that server up and down. You want more RAM, you have it. You want more CPU, you have it. You want more disk space, you have it. And that server is instantly visible to the world, and you can quickly scale, quickly boot up new instances, and it is on demand. Whenever you want, it's there. And you can reserve your capacity. Maybe I want 30 servers just running for me all the time. You can have spot pricing. In spot, it's kind of a bargain. Okay, spot pricing is kind of a bargain. So imagine at some point of time, AWS is not seeing huge amount of capacity, right? There are not many customers right there in that AWS region. So what AWS starts to do, it starts reducing the price of its AWS instance, right? So say it's like $1 an hour right now, nobody is taking them. So what AWS does, it reduces it to maybe 80 cents that somebody takes them. Nobody is taking them. Let's reduce it to 60 cents. Nobody is taking them. Let's reduce it to 10 cents. When it's 10 cents, maybe 30 people want that. So 30 people can go there. Rather than paying the regular rate of $1, you can pay only 30 cents for an hour. So that really reduces your price, really helps you scale quickly, and really saves you money. So it's good for both AWS as well as you, because you get a reduced rate And AWS is able to use the raw capacity because their servers are running anyway, right? They are consuming power, they are consuming cooling, they're consuming network and everything. So it's good to sell them for something rather than for nothing, right? So that's what the AWS model operates on. So what are the different operating systems that you get? You get Windows. You want to run a Windows machine? No worries. You want to run a Linux machine? No worries. You want to run FreeBSD? You want to run Solaris? You can run each and every kind of workload that you can imagine there, right? They have support for all major web, and so maybe you want to run Android application backend, right? You have it. You want to run infrastructure for iPhone? You have it. You want to run infrastructure just for your cloud, your web service. So right now, what you are saying, you are attending a Zoom meeting. Zoom is also AWS customer, right? So the data that is flowing to your screens right now is actually coming from an AWS data center, right? I am connected to one of 24 regions. I am connected currently to maybe somewhere in Europe, right? You are connected somewhere on the East Coast or the West Coast or maybe US Central, depending upon where the latency is lower for you, right? Because when I'm talking to you, latency has to be very low, right? If I talk something now and it reaches to you after 2 minutes, we cannot have this class, right? This class is possible only because we have very low latency, and that is because of AWS. You get me? And it's not like your servers are just running out there. You can monitor their status. Okay, how much it's being used. Okay, how much is it going to cost me? You get really good dashboards and you can just visualize them. Okay, it's great. I should be running it. I should not be running it. Maybe my server is running too hot. I want to increase the capacity, right? Say you are getting huge amount of users. Like right now we have around 10 people in this conference. Maybe 20 people join. Maybe I need a bigger instance. AWS will give me a bigger instance. It's just a few clicks away. Now I've done AWS EC2. I got my compute. Now I want storage. This storage is similar to your iCloud or Google Drive, right? So Google Drive is a Google product. iCloud is your Apple product. Amazon has the same product called Simple Storage Service. So what they do, they provide you an endpoint, they provide you a place where you can just upload your any files. Maybe there are claims file, maybe there are music file. In case of Netflix, it's video files. In case of Spotify, it's MP3 files, it's music files. In case of some finance firm, it's your audit data, your credit card data, anything. They just provide you that and you can just upload it. And it's available all over the world over the internet. You have a console, you just upload it there and it's there. Then you have Elastic Block Store. Elastic Block Store is kind of a hard drive. So like the hard drive you have on your system right now, maybe it's a 500 GB hard drive, maybe it's a 1 TB hard drive. So your server needs power too, right? Server needs hard drive too. So EBS provides you that. So these are just the compute components that are out there, but Amazon have relabeled them, okay? So Amazon has renamed hard drive to EBS. It's just a hard drive. Don't get confused by this fancy names. They're just, okay, you're getting a server, okay, you're getting a storage, okay, you're getting storage on a hard drive block store, no worries. So in reality, these are just your simple compute components. They have put really fancy labels around it. Don't be confused by the labels. Just see what they actually do, right? So S3, just a storage. EBS, just a hard drive. EC2, just a server. Then you have VPC. So VPC is kind of a network, right? You are getting internet connection and everything. That is your virtual private cloud. Really fancy name, virtual private cloud. If you think, okay, I am getting a private cloud. No, you're just getting a small network out of it, right? So it just provides a logically isolated section of AWS. You have your IP ranges, subnets, route tables, all network things. They can come under VPC. ELB, Elastic Load Balancer. You have multiple servers running. You want load to be balanced across those. Okay, ELB. And we are going to study each one of these in detail in the coming classes. So here's how it's going to work. Each day we will pick one of these topics and we will explore it in detail, do practicals around it so that you know how each of these components work. This is just an introduction. Okay, this is out there, but we will really explore all these topics as we go along. Then you have Amazon Route 3. It's a simple DNS service. So whenever you are hitting a website, right, say www.google.com or amazon.com, actually you are hitting a server and that server has an IP address. Okay, we'll go into details. Don't get confused with the jargon, with all the labels and everything. Okay, so DNS service just provides that IP address in lieu of your name. So instead of amazon.com, you are actually hitting 64.6.11.190, right? It's just a number, but it's difficult to remember. So even if you imagine, you know, around 30 or 40 websites on top of your head, imagine learning 30 of these kind of numbers, 64, 6, 11, 190, maybe 23, 1, 160. You cannot learn 40, 60 of these numbers, but you can really learn these simple xyz.com, amazon.com, netflix.com, right? So at the end of the day, it's just going to one of these numbers. But rather than you remembering these numbers, a computer is doing your task. So in terms of Amazon, what that computer is called? Amazon Route 53. Then you have your Amazon Relational Database Service. It's called RDS. So RDS is like simple database. Okay. We've been running database in production for almost 40 years now, right? Each and every company has a database. You go to a bank, okay, it's not in our database. You often get that. You go to a coffee shop, okay, this drink is not in my database. What is a database? It's just a SQL, normal table. Okay, this is the item, these are the details. So what is the AWS service for that? Amazon Relational Database Service, RDS. At the end of it, it's just a table where you can store a bunch of your data. Then you have your simple DB, non-relational database, kind of a spreadsheet, right? You have that. And these are all the services that are out there. So your application has access to all these services, as I showed you yesterday as well in the AWS Web Console. So let me quickly jump to the AWS Web Console itself and just show you there. So you look at these services. These are all the services. At the end of the day, they are just services, just normal computer things with a fancy name attached to it, right? So if you are from IT background, non-IT, if you know how to use a computer, you can pretty much use AWS. You just have to know, okay, I want a PC, I want a server in cloud, I want to go to EC2, I want to put storage, I want to go S3, I want to attach storage to EC2, I want to go to EBS, I want a database, I want to go to RDS, I want a network, I want to go to VPC, I want a DNS, I want to go to Route 53, and these other services as well. They're just modified versions of these. So the basic services that I told you are those 6 or 7 services. All other services are special use cases for those services. They have modified that services, made it more managed, more intuitive, more developer friendly, and they have come up with all these services. So this web console is really your entry to AWS. All these services are there, and we will explore each of these services in detail in coming sessions, right? So every day we are going to pick one of the services. Maybe some services are bigger, right? So say EC2, it's a bigger service. Maybe it can take 2 days or 3 days. Doesn't matter. We will go through each of these in detail. We will get our hands dirty spinning up our servers in the cloud, and we will learn it in detail, right? Then we come to AWS Marketplace. So what is AWS Marketplace, right? So AWS Marketplace is a place where you can sell your products that you have built on top of AWS. Okay, so imagine this scenario. Maybe you are a company who is selling anything. Maybe you are a very specialized stock marketplace. You are selling stocks online. Over time, you develop some kind of expertise in selling stocks, or for that matter, anything. Okay, you have a really nice e-commerce platform similar to Amazon, and you want to sell all that infrastructure that you have built as a template for other businesses to come up online faster. Now, when you are building something new, you have to invest a lot of in good people, right? You want to build the servers, all the software that is running on top of that. And once you have built that, you're using it. But now you want to sell that solution as well, right? You build a marketplace, great, works for you. But say another company, maybe they are selling flowers, or maybe they are selling fruits online, and they want to leverage same kind of functionality. You can put your solution up on AWS Marketplace for some fee. And whenever somebody new wants to use your infrastructure, they can pay you $100, and they can leverage your infrastructure that you have already built in their own AWS environment, right? So you are providing them a software. It's similar to selling a software. Microsoft created Word and they're selling it to whole world, right? Microsoft created Windows and they're selling it to whole world. It's similar to you created an e-commerce site. It's good for you. Now you want to sell it too, right? So anybody can come online and use your software, the code that you have built on top of AWS, the solution that you have built on top of AWS. You spent a huge amount of money. You can run your business off AWS as well. There are a few firms. I'll show you AWS Marketplace right now, and you can really see, okay, what I'm talking about. So maybe you want to go to Marketplace. Okay. So if you go to Marketplace and just see here, so you find a breadth of credit. This, you buy it, you deploy it, you manage it, and you just can discover products. So if you go to discover products, There are hundreds and hundreds of products here. So you don't have to build each and every. So Microsoft is selling their Windows server here, right? CentOS is selling their CentOS server here. WordPress is selling their simple WordPress website. Red Hat is selling. Amazon itself is selling specialized use cases here, right? So OpenVPN, if you want to establish a VPN server for, so you all know NordVPN or BetterNet or any VPN provider for say, okay, they are in turn using OpenVPN in the backend. So OpenVPN built a product, they have put it here for selling. Now different companies are utilizing that product and coming up with their own products on top of that. Okay, so say you end up developing a good solution, you can put it out there and companies will buy that product and come up with their own solutions around it. Maybe you want some kind of e-commerce platform. Okay, so there are simple e-commerce platform. So you don't have to set up your whole website, just use one of these and build on top of that, right? So you don't have to code each and everything again. So there are free trials. Some of these are per hour basis. Let me go to a firewall. Okay, each organization has their own firewall. So they see you have Fortinet, you have Palo Alto, you have pfSense and everyone. So say you want to deploy a Palo Alto firewall. Okay, buying a firewall off the shelf costs you hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars. So a simple VM series firewall machine from a Palo Alto costs around $8,000. And it's a huge investment for an enterprise, small enterprise, but they want security. So what they can do, they can rent it at $0.192 per hour, right? So if you want a Palo Alto firewall, you are paying $0.129 per hour. So in 10 hours, how much you are paying? Almost $2. Okay, so you don't have to commit to that investment. You can just use this platform and build on top of that, right? So it's not just the servers, the compute, that's the storage that you are getting. You're also getting the software, the specialized use cases on per hour basis, right? So if you want something of the firewall, you can use it. No worries. There are free versions as well. And if you end up developing something of your own, you can sell that as well. So while you are spending on AWS, you can also be earning. Okay. So these are the popular categories. This is how the AWS marketplace looks, right? So whatever service the AWS has, it's right there under the services section, and you can use any one of these services. Now, you don't have to learn all of these, but the basics. If you know the basics, you can build on top of that and really do. Even after working 12 years in cloud for really big companies, I might have used only maybe 40 or 45% of these, right? So some of these cases are very specific. I'll tell you how. Like a satellite ground station. Okay, if I'm not working for a satellite company, I don't need this service. But yes, a third person might be working for a satellite company and he needs this service, right? So quantum technologies. You don't have to have a quantum computer in your organization, but if you want, you can have it. So it's like the power is there, but how much you want of it, how much you want to use it, what are your use cases. So all of these will depend on the use case that you are having. You don't have to use each and every one of these. You don't have to learn each and every one of these, but you have to learn the basic services that I talked about: the servers, the compute, the VPC, the RDS, the S3, the EBS. All right. So this is how AWS looks. This is how
that would be it for today's class.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Jan Bass Training. Learn,